Mhm. All right. Well, thank you everyone for being here today for this month's Wednesday webinar. We are excited to welcome Michele Walfred. She is an original here. She helped us get started in these webinars back. I think it was like 2013 or 2014. We
Way
started
back
doing
then.
and she has been a staple every year, just sharing her great knowledge of social media, talking about agriculture and communications. So I'm Shannon Dill. I'm with University of Maryland Extension. Happy to host this session. And we'd like to thank, we have a number of sponsors as well as our collaborators for this program. So with that, I'm going to turn this lunch session over to Michele.
Great. Thank you, Shannon. And I am glad. Yep, we started with the very first Women in Ag Wednesday webinar. So I've given this talk before, but there has been some updates and new equipment, and video has taken on an even greater role for communicating about agriculture. So whether you have a retail, maybe you have a winery or you have an agribusiness, wedding venue, you've got, you're selling goat milk and goat cheese, no matter what you're doing, you want to be able to obviously sell your product, but you also want to advocate for agriculture. The best way to do that is by telling your story. Nobody wants to be bombarded with ads, and really video has come into this very, very strongly. And everybody knows about TikTok and Reels on Instagram and Facebook. There's just so many opportunities. People care about where their food comes from, where their food and fiber comes from, and video gives you a unique chance to communicate who you are. And when people connect to you, just not with an ad like this is on sale, come get it, but when they connect with you as a human being, they're more likely to want to patronize your business, or at least understand what you do. And obviously in agriculture, a lot of people don't understand us. 98% of the world are not involved in agriculture, but they consume it. And there's a lot of bad information out there about farmers that we need to start sharing our stories with. I did want to start off with is you will get a printout of this, a handout rather, of this workshop. And on this slide, this is hyperlinked, and this is going to take you to a material. I just wanted to show you what this looks like. It's going to give you this actual, not only the printout handout of this presentation, but the actual presentation itself. Should you want to go back in and look at the video examples that I show you, you'll be able to see this presentation right here. There's an infographic both in PDF and image form on, it's a poster actually, but it's the quick tips on how to set up a smartphone studio, as well as a smartphone studio material list, which Shannon is also going to be uploaded as a separate PDF. So I just wanted to show you that. And let me get back now to where I was, and I got to find Google. So let's just see here. There we go. All righty. So I just wanted to let you know you have that. All right, so next. So the purpose of your videos, they can be very formal, or what I would say planned. They can be informal. So these are your TikToks, your fun-loving, joke, spur of the moment type of video. They can be standalone communication. They could be part of something larger that you do. And of course, you could put them on social and your website. I think every website has an about us feature, and usually that's very text heavy. Why not put a 2 or 3 minute video in there that explains who you are? Let the public see the owners, see the proprietors, hear your voice, look into your eyes a little bit and get to know you. It creates a warmer feeling. So you have that. And then you're going to communicate different kinds of messages. It could be about us, an introductory. It could be something like, did you know? And so it may be something about a plant, but might be landscaping. If you're a garden center, you might want to say, did you know that this is a native plant? This belongs in the sun. So you can be, it can be educational. It could be a day in your life of something you're doing, and it could be a very general promotion, or it could be very, very specific about an event that you've got coming up or anything of that nature. So really the variability is there's no limit to it. Goldfish, I've heard this recently. Goldfish have a shorter attention span than human beings do, which means you really want to grab somebody's attention right away if you can. And it's difficult to do. You want to get to the point of doing a video very, very quickly. I would not come on and say to you, hi, I'm Michele Walfred. I have a bachelor's in journalism. I have a master's degree in digital humanities. I've been with Extension for, by the time I say who I am, I've wasted a valuable 30, 40 seconds. You want to get to the point. Do you know the difference between a Jersey cow and a Guernsey cow and a Holstein cow? We're going to show you today. So you cut right to it. Normally people are identified with a lower third at the bottom of their screen, giving their title and their name and their title, and that's it. So that saves valuable time. You really want to create a hook. Do your tomatoes look like this? Do you want to know how you could solve that problem? We're going to show you how. That's a hook. So it's a very important thing to have in a video. And record more than you think you're going to need. And if you need to know about editing, that would be another workshop for another time. But if you can if you don't know how to do any video editing, just find a teenager in your family. They're going to know how to do it. They can use iMovie, Final Cut Pro. Adobe has a version of iMovie. I think it's called Adobe Rush. And then there's Adobe Premiere Pro. Those are the leading video editing platforms. But we're not talking about that today. So I want to show you this one introductory video. It's 2 minutes in length. That's right in the middle of the sweet spot. A 1 to 3 minute video is what you should be thinking about doing. If you've got 20 minutes worth of content to deliver, you may want to think about doing 5 or 6 3-minute videos as opposed to one long 15-minute video. Break it up. Again, this goes to the attention span. People might not want to. I look at videos all the time and I go, oh my God, I already know this. I want to scroll to the part where they're getting to what I want to know. So that's very important to do. I want you to look at this video and look how it was constructed, and we'll deconstruct it. But they interview someone. Her name is Maddie. She's the spokesperson for the farm business. In this case, it's an artisan cheese farm, a dairy farm. And she's narrating the whole thing. But I want you to look at how it's been composed. You don't see her all the time in the video. She's doing the narration, but what's dropping in front of her narration are images. Are there photos or are they film clips? And how long are those film clips? I want you to pay attention to that. That's called B-roll. So we'll talk about that. And the sound quality of the person speaking. So she's mic'd, and you can see a little black mic on her outfit. This was probably done with a production crew. They probably paid somebody to come out. They probably paid anywhere from $5,000 to $7,000 to have this video created. But could it be done on a smartphone? Absolutely, yes. I could reproduce everything on this with my smartphone. So let's take a look at the video.
Shelburne Farms is a 1,400-acre working farm. We have been making cheese here since the 80s. We make a raw milk farmstead cheddar here at Shelburne Farms. Farmstead meaning that all the milk comes right from our herd of brown Swiss cows at our dairy right here on the farm. We make about 170,000 pounds of cheese a year, all from our cows here. And with the cows practicing rotational grazing, we really feel that you can taste of the place, taste of the land where the cows are grazing. All of our cheese is made the same basic recipe, and it's all raw milk cheddar. So we age between 6 months and 3 or 4 years. So our production team of 8 gets in at around 6 o'clock in the morning, and we go all day until the cheese is on the press at around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Cheddar cheese making is incredibly physical. We are doing everything from making the cheese to processing the cheese, shipping it, packaging it. turning milk into cheese is an incredible food science experience. We are tracking the milk from the moment it gets to the vat. We're tracking temperature and pH to make sure that we're on target.
Cha-Cha, do you see the mixer?
We have a wonderful viewing room, so you can come and see all of our cheesemakers and wave to us and see what we're doing and see how much work goes into the product. There is a whole table of samples to try, so you can try all of our products here. At our Welcome Center, on your way in or out, you can stop and grab some products to take home. When other people are tasting our product and asking questions about our product, that's really the most rewarding part. We work hard to make sure it's the best cheese we can possibly make, but when you get that chance to connect with people and talk with people about the process and how much work goes into it and how much love goes into it, that really is the most exciting part.
Okay, so that comes in at 1 minute and 58 seconds. And what I wanted to sort of deconstruct here is Maddie, who's the spokesperson here in the industry, this is called the talent. Maddie was likely filmed here for the entire duration of that 2 minutes. So she had a script. She might have had a, like not cue cards, but the things that presidents use. I can't think of what that is off the top of, oh, help me out here, somebody. What's that called? One, the presidents use, and they have them on the side. Teleprompters, thank you. I drew a blank. So she might have a teleprompter back there, but she didn't read it. She's sounding natural. She's framed in what's called the rule of thirds. This is very typical way that you would frame a spokesperson. You could pull back a little bit further so they're close up. Her background is blurred, and this can be done with some video apps. And she's talking through it, and she's wearing a lavalier mic right here at her collarbone area. And that's classic. But she's not on camera the whole entire time. What they've done instead is they've come in with images, a wide shot of the farm, a close-up of the sign. And each of these are staying on camera for, I timed them, typically 3 seconds to 4 seconds. Now, the film crew probably came out and took 15 seconds of every single scene, and they picked the best 3 seconds of each to put in there. But there's a wide shot of the cows grazing. There's the farm again, so it's showing that approach. There's the hands assembling it, putting it together. Then you go into the actual cows. Again, the cows, the videographer here apparently laid down on the ground and took a shot from that perspective, which is really interesting. And you heard them go moo as they went by. So it's an assemblage of images. Then when you get to the cheesemakers, so there they are, and they're just doing their thing each time about 15 seconds. So you see the crew, it's a behind the scenes look, right? Which is things that people like. And then they also do agritourism. So you have now children involved. If you do have children involved, say you have an agritourism group and a school group comes through, you do want to have photo releases for any non-employees, actually, even adults. You would get a photo release saying, hey, do you mind? We're going to use this in our promotional video. And those forms are available online. They're sort of standard, but definitely with children, you've got to have that. And so this is not only do they have a retail space and a welcome center, they also have an agritourism component to that. So they're showing all of that here. So you may have some are not. Their welcome center, so they're showing customers now, sampling it, and then here's their gift shop. And so that's just a really nice example of, and we'll go for it. Now, what do I use? I have expensive Nikon cameras that shoot video. I also have a dedicated camcorder with XLR ports for microphones, but this is what I normally use is my smartphone. It's just, they're shooting in 4K now, not that you always want to do that. The newer iPhones, and I think some of the newer Androids have cinematic on it. So they have a way of controlling the focus, but you can again do that through apps we'll talk about. But I have a tripod here that I bought with what's called a fluid head, and we'll go over all of this, and in the supply list you'll see all of this. A fluid head just allows you to move your camera left and right and up and down very fluidly. So that's why it's called a fluid head, right? As opposed to a herky-jerky motion with a with a cheaper. So this was about $199, but you don't have to spend that much, but you do want to look for a fluid head tripod. And all tripods, all tripod mounts, all tripod grips for your phone, they're all standardized. Thank goodness. They're not like Macs and Androids where they have different plugins and different ports. These are all universally known. Even in Europe, they use the same kind of tripod mounts that we use. I have my smartphone here. I have an iPhone 13. And then I have this grip, and all that is a spring-loaded grip that holds the phone in place, and it screws on the top of my tripod. I have a microphone up here if I'm shooting a group of people, a room, or if I'm inside and the acoustics are good, I can record, and I just plug that right there, plug that right into my phone, and it records. But I also have coiled up here a lavalier microphone, and that is going to give you the most professional sound quality, newsworthy, newscaster worthy. This is what they do. This is what that young lady Maddie on the video we just saw was wearing, a lavalier microphone, and that's better for like one person. So if I were filming this gentleman, I would probably use the lavalier on him if I thought that there was going to be any kind of an echo in the room. It depends on the room. So when I walk around with this, and this is a very lightweight tripod, I've got everything covered here. If I were going outside, that's like a foam screen, but you can also get what they call a dead cat, which is a neoprene, which is a furry. You've seen newscasters use it. That's for when you're outside, if you're filming the farm and you don't have a lot of windbreak. Even a slight breeze is going to sound really terrible in a video. So, and we'll show you some examples of that. And every time I try to advance this, it does it differently. Sometimes it wants my mouse, sometimes it does. All right, so the main thing I'm going to talk about today is holding it horizontal. Now, this is for YouTube's, for I would say more serious, more planned videos. You want to hold it horizontal. Look at the screen you're watching this on right now. What's its orientation? It's horizontal. YouTube is horizontal. Computer screens are horizontal. Can you go portrait? Yeah, if you're going to just do a TikTok and throw it up on Instagram or Facebook, then doing it in portrait's okay. But we're talking about, you know, a little bit more of a pumped up level here. So my rule is no vertical video. It also then, again, because our screens look like this is why this shape that comes from your phone fits perfectly into these formats. This is a lower third. So again, when I'm introducing someone and I'm talking to them, she's not going to say who she is and where she went to school and how smart she is and everything else. She's going to get right to the point of the subject of her video. And this is what's called a lower third, or a captioning, or a title. You can get them customized, or you can just use the ones that come with editing. So what orientation you use does depend on what you're trying to do. And again, if it's just something very informal, you want to share something funny that happened, you can throw it up on YouTube or Facebook, Facebook or TikTok, then it really doesn't matter. It depends on what your platform is. But this would be the video, how it would look on Facebook. It would look like that, where vertical, it's going to take up all of the real estate. But if you turn this over to its side, it would fill the screen. You need to get a microphone. These cameras are absolutely fantastic. People are making feature films with these cameras today. But the built-in sound is not so great. They are omnidirectional. They're great for phone calls. But if I were to take this outside and film Shannon outside a dairy farm, you would hear wind, you would hear rumbling. It would not sound crisp and clear and professional. So this to me is the no-brainer. This is called the Rode lavalier microphone. It fluctuates in price, but it's been around $55, but it's only 6 feet long. It plugs into an Android phone beautifully. With an iPhone, you need an adapter. And I would recommend seriously getting additional 20 feet of wiring so that you can be far away from a person. And that's what you saw coiled up when I was showing you the picture of my rig and what I do. So here's my husband, and I just want you to hear the difference. He was outside. He's not a landscaper, but he was pretending he was a landscaper, and he's doing it built in. You'll hear the wind rumble, and then you'll hear the difference with the Rode SmartLav.
Hello, my name is Steve. I am the owner of Walfred Landscaping, and today we're going to be discussing how to properly trim a crepe myrtle tree. Good morning, my name is Steve. I am the owner of Walfred Landscaping, and today we'll be discussing how to properly trim a crepe myrtle tree.
That's a huge difference. I don't know if you heard that wind rumbling, and it's not even windy. If it's windy, you're not even, it would be unused. This video would be unusable if I had not used that Rode microphone. So that Rode microphone is absolutely fantastic. And for an investment of $89,
Hello,
you
my name
can't
is Steve.
beat it. So there's corded lavaliers. You can also get wireless ones that you can buy and plug into your phone. Saramonic, if you are, and Rode make very good. If you go on their website, they have all different kinds of combinations that you can use. I like these two things because they're easy for me to use. You can do a plug-in condenser microphone. That was the one that was on top that's just pointing out. Again, I would use that if I were filming a lecture or a demonstration where there's different people up front. You can't mic everybody. So that's when I would use something that's more omnidirectional. But Shure makes one that where you can actually on their app change the angle. So if you're, for instance, if you're recording someone playing the guitar on a stage, the condenser microphone would be better than a lavalier because it wouldn't pick up the voice, but not necessarily the guitar. Hope that makes sense to you. Get the phone out of your hand. So you need to put it into some type of tripod. These are a couple, this is a really nice smartphone grip, and it has a little screw on the bottom for you to mount it to your tripod, and you can mount it horizontally or vertically. Tripods run from $31 on up. And again, if you get the fluid head, the Manfrotto, you're talking a little bit more money, $150 to $200 for that. But you definitely want it out of your hand so you're not shaking, and which nobody can really hold them without wiggling. This is Osmo makes a very nice stabilizer. I think now they have the Osmo 5, but that's what you're talking about here. This would be great if you were doing a walking tour of your farm or your facility and you want to take people through. I watched a video the other day of a tour of the Martin Guitar Factory. They probably use something like this because you're not going to see that walking movement. It's very gliding, very smooth process the whole way through. So this might be something that you would want to look at. I'm not gonna, you can play that if you want to. And then here's all the different kinds of gimbals, but DJI is the brand that I would go with. You want to use an app. So these are now I have a base built-in video app. It's right where I take my photos. I just switch over to video, and you probably do in your Androids. They work. They're going to shoot 4K or 5K, whatever K that they're coming out with next, right? They're gonna do a beautiful job. There's nothing wrong with that app, but it's an app that connects to your camera. There's a problem with that, and I'm going to show you what it is. You want to be able to know that your microphone and your systems are working, and you won't get that on your built-in native app that comes with your phone. So for $10, if you're an iOS, I strongly recommend Movie Pro. It's one time. They're not going to add you. It's not a subscription plan. You're going to pay for it once, and that's it. You're going to have it. Pro Movie, as opposed to Movie Pro, is completely free, but you have to pay one time $3 to get their watermark off of your videos. And if you have Android, you're going to want to look into ProTake. That is completely free. The features on it are hidden, but they're there. You have to tap on the microphone icon, and then it will show you the microphone levels. And the reason I'm talking about that is, and I'm going to skip that because that's not, let's see if this is, I went to we had an event called Ag Week in January, and I didn't heed my own advice, and I filmed a farmer, beautifully filmed all the people in the background where it was, and everything, like, oh, this is great. I get it back, no sound. I didn't listen to my own advice, and apparently I did not snap in the microphone in all the way. So I learned my lesson. He was kind enough to let me reshoot it. But when you do it with an app, so this is Movie Pro, and I just wanted to show you just a few seconds of this. Look on the left.
This is the Movie Pro. It's $5.99.
It went up, it's 10 now.
And you can, as you'll notice, you can see my audio on the left-hand side. So you know the microphone is working, which is something that the native microphone does not provide.
So that's basically what it does a lot of other things. You can control light, you can control focus. I can bring a person in focus, but the background is out of focus, or vice versa. You saw with Maddie when they were filming her in the cheese shop, the background was a little blurred. You can do this with this app. But the most valuable part about this app is when I plug in the headset mic, it switches from built-in mic to headset mic. And that's what I need to know when I'm recording, that this mic is connected. And it would have saved me a lot of grief had I done what I practice, what I preach. So well worth the effort to do that. If you're filming, this is for the person you're filming, for the talent. So you're filming an extension agent. I have to tell my extension agents, please iron your shirts, because I don't want this going on YouTube. And all the comments on the YouTube are not about what you're talking about, but the fact that you didn't iron your shirt and it's wrinkled. I mean, people will do things like that. So a collar provides, or a V-neck provides, an excellent place to put the lavalier microphone. If it's a regular t-shirt, you're just going to have wires showing, and it's going to look bunchy, and it's not going to look very professional. Wear your brand and not someone else's. That could be problematic. Hats are problematic. A lot of farmers and men that I will farm in, women too, for that matter, wear baseball caps or wear sun caps. And that's going to shadow their eyes a little bit. And there's workarounds for that, but you need to be aware that that could be an issue. This is the best place to fix a lavalier microphone if you're using one right around the collarbone area. Put it up too much, and that's another problem with t-shirts. They're right at the base of the neck, right? So the audio tends to be very throaty and very loud, and that could be adjusted after the fact, but why not get it right from the beginning? So that's just a point there. Don't read a script. Please don't read a script. They sound awful when people read. If you want to have a cheat sheet, people have used iPads as teleprompters. So you could have something like that rolling in the background. I advise working with a team, because a team member, the videographer, really serves as the director. So they're going to hear you. They're going to hear whether or not you talk too fast. They can tell you to slow down. They can tell you, hey, you forgot to mention bullet point A, bullet point 3. And she'll go, I did, yeah. So just go ahead, just say it, and we can cut it in later. So a person working with you is excellent, and the more you do this, the better you'll get. But try to have a whiteboard in the background or something where you can look at it and kind of get your bearings as you go. People freak out when they're being videotaped. Even the most polished person, I've seen them just freeze up when that camera's on you. So this, again, the videographer is the person who goes, that was really good, don't worry about it, just pick it up right here. Because if you make a mistake, it doesn't mean you have to start all over. It means you just pick up at the last best sentence you had and start with the next sentence, and that can be all edited in after the fact. I can make the worst person sound pretty darn good just by some creative editing. But a lot has to do with this person's role here. Now, she's using a camcorder, but that's not the point. The point here is they're going to be nodding their heads. They're going to be acknowledging you, encouraging you as you're filming. So if you're doing it and you're filming, say you're a husband and wife team and you own this farm and you have a winery. So the husband might be on camera and the wife is doing the filming. So they have a very big role to play and putting the person who's talking with at ease. Block your shot. You don't want to be too far. When we're interviewing someone like Maddie was, we will usually do one of these two. We try to avoid belts and bellies, and people are self-conscious. We're trying to make everybody look good. If you do shoot wide, that can always be cropped in. But these are the two most common and the two, quite frankly, the two most flattering compositions. This is more like 60 minutes, a little too close for my liking. But everybody's different. You can experiment. This is generally what they call blocking the shot and using the rule of thirds. It's very popular in photography. You divide your screen into 3 grids each, and where they intersect is where your subject ought to be. It's a rule. It's a rule that can be broken, and if you shoot somebody dead center, that can be edited to make it look like you shot in rule of thirds. So there's a lot of things that can be done post-production, but this is all about trying to do it right the first time. Try to film people early in the morning or in the later afternoon. This is called a magic hour. Right after sunrise and right before sunset. The most flattering light. The light should face the person. When you're filming them, just film the spiel, whatever it is that the message that you're going to do. Come visit us, or we're having an open house. We really want you to be there. You don't want to be zooming in on the person. Have them say what they want to say with one shot. Don't be moving in and out. If they reach down to pick up a basket of goods, don't follow them as they pick up the basket. You would shoot that later and cut that in. That's called B-roll. So, because otherwise it's just too dizzying. Don't film at noon. The hours between 10, the sunburn hours, I call them, between 10 and 2 are the most unflattering because they're just high sun overhead, and overhead lighting is very unflattering. People will be squinting and all that kind of thing. If it's a cloudy day, you can throw that rule away. A semi-cloudy day is wonderful too. And with you, if you're going outside, bring water, some towels so that people aren't sweating, something for them to drink. And you can have a white reflector, and I'll show you this later. This can be something you buy. It's called a scrim, but you can also have, just go to Staples and get one of those science project trifold white boards, that your kids would use for science project. Those make great reflectors. So, and I'll show you how that works and what a difference they can make. So here it is. So here's somebody outside, he's being filmed, and the assistant is holding a scrim here, which helps diffuse the light, helps bounce it. This is really good. Look at the difference here in the man, usually with a harsh light versus having that bounced off. Now, if somebody's wearing a hat or a summer hat or a baseball cap, this would be handy also. So you would need another person to kind of hold that off camera, but it really fills in that light really, really well. And then this is what you could use for, if you didn't want to buy one of these. These are about $19 on Amazon. They're not that expensive. Mind your background. Please pay attention to your background. This was a shot. I just did this recently for Artisan Cheese Group, but just look. She's showing cheese. So that might be their end shot. Like, we hope you come visit our cheese store soon. But look at the background here. Look what, I don't know if I can make this bigger. But like the cleaning supplies and the back part of their store is shown. I mean, all that cameraman had to do would be to shift over to the right a little bit, and all of this would have been not shown. So you want to be careful of your background. Make sure you're not, if you're filming somebody in their office, that your dentist appointment or your doctor's appointment isn't posted on the bulletin board with your phone number on it. Avoid politics. This is not the place to be waving the Biden or Trump flags. Sorry, but it's not, because you're going to alienate half your audience if you do that. It's just the way things are. We, in extension, have to say, make sure that you can't have religious context in it. And if you're doing a church video, that's a different story. But you want to be as neutral as possible. Make sure things are cleaned up. There isn't trash. There isn't, empty Coca-Cola bottles laying around or anything like that. Messy rooms, just try to keep it clean and neutral, but pay attention to it because there's a whole cottage industry out there. Your videos will be filled with comments about why are you using bleach and why are you this and why didn't he do that? So that's just the way things are. The other thing you want to do, and this is a big novice mistake that people make, is when you're shooting your product, whatever that might be, pan it slowly. They're going across the board here, slowly showing the different cuts of cheeses. Our human eyes go, we see everything right away. If you're doing 15 seconds of the outside of your storefront or the outside of your barn, you want to move across the scene very, very slowly. So that's a big mistake that novice videographers make. Because the human eye just can't catch, on video can't catch up with it. The secret sauce is B-roll. And what is B-roll? B-roll is the footage you saw of the cows laying on the ground, the cows coming through the gate, the cows swatting the flies with their tails, the people mixing the cheese, the people wrapping the cheese, the people dipping the cheese in wax, the kids waving at the cheesemakers through the window, the customers checking out and buying food at the checkout store, the outside of the barn, the sign, all of that is called B-roll. And if you ever had a film crew come to you and interview you for anything, they'll shoot all day long and you go, oh my gosh. And then you look at the final, like when I see WBOC or one of those people come out, they'll shoot. They're there all for a really long time. And then you see the video at the end and it's like 30-second spot. Like they did all that video shooting for 30 seconds. The answer is yes, they did. You want to shoot as many things as you can. So again, if I'm talking about native plants, and here's the native plants you want to buy, and I'm going to say, oh, echinacea and rudbeckia and mountain mint and blah, blah, blah. And I'm talking, you're filming me. And if I bend down and start to pick some of that stuff up, don't just record my audio. And then what you'll do afterwards is say, okay, Michelle, you mentioned rudbeckia. Can you show me what a rudbeckia is? And I'll say, yeah, it's right here. Then I'm going to shoot 15 seconds of the rudbeckia blowing in the wind or whatever plant it is. If you're talking about we feed our cows this, and you might show pictures of the cows at lunchtime, right? So they're going to come up to their grain, they're going to start munching and eating. So you want to shoot separate scenes of anything that person is talking about. You want to shoot scenes of your business and start building a library of images. So the first snowfall, get out there and put your boots on and show the farm, show the store, show the sign with the snowflakes falling and everything's white, beautiful, pristine before all the trucks and plows come in, right? Fall, and the colors are changing and the leaves are falling. Same thing, shoot your business outside all 4 seasons. Shoot day in the life things, your workers, your migrant workers that come up and you wave and they wave to you. Show your children if you live in a family farm setting. This is really important because people think we're factory farmers. And we're not. There are families, even with poultry. If you have your home, and then maybe you have 6 poultry houses over here, and maybe in the middle is a swing set where your kids play. You want to show that farm, and you want to show the home and the swing set, and then the farm, because it's subtle, but it tells people this is a family farm. There are people living on here. This is not a corporate, this is an LLC, but it's not it's not a corporation. There's real people living here. Show your kids, if you don't mind your kids being on film, show them doing errands, show them brushing a cow, showing a cow coming up, or horse coming up, taking carrots out of your hand. You want to record all these things and you only need like 15 seconds a piece, because in the finished video you're only going to use about 5 seconds of it but start thinking about the processes. If I'm going to talk about, come to our store, we have not only like, let's say Pfeiffer orchards in Wyoming and Delaware, they have a beautiful storefront. So you might say, please come to our orchard. We have pumpkin picking going out here. We have this going out here. And inside our store, we have a wide range of different jams and jellies and sauces. And then you would just go into your store and film, you know, very slow interiors of your products and what you're selling. Your wines, show people film of your, you know, pouring the wine into a glass, show somebody sipping the wine, toasting with it. Any kind of scenario you think of that people can relate to, that's called B-roll. And you would get that recorded, you'd label it so you can find it later, because unfortunately with the cameras, you're going to get image 1, 2, 3, 4, or DSC 1, 2, 3, 4. You're going to have to go into your computer and say, hands holding Cabernet wine, hands cutting cheese, children playing next to the barn. You're going to have to relabel them so you can find them later. But B-roll is the secret sauce. So here's another example. I'm going to just deconstruct this a little bit. So this was, I think a Syngenta, I forget what it is.
Been here since the 1950s and involved
So
me as much as possible. I do.
They filmed this farmer, filmed it in the composition I suggested, but look, they did a shot of the farm sign. They show him, and you wouldn't think to do this, like they show him actually driving his truck.
Volunteer
inside,
ambulance, and I also work in the volunteer fire department. There's my
getting out of his car, his modest family home that he lives in, right?
wife and I, there's my older sister Sarah, and mom and dad.
So there's the shot. That's the money shot. That's the shot that people normally, what they would call the talent shot. They're using rule of thirds. He's in focus. The background is not in focus. They change that and they actually pull him into focus, pull the yard into focus sometimes. And you can do that with these apps that I mentioned to you. You can't necessarily, iPhones have, the newer ones have what's called cinematic, where you can actually tap. I could tap on his nose and he would come in focus. I could tap on the grain bin there and that would come in focus. I'm not sure if Androids do that, but that's a new feature with iPhones 13 and up. I don't think 12 had them.
I started farming in 2006. I was still in high school then. My first field was actually that one just right over there. Been farming a little more.
So then they show him they show him walking through the field. I just wanted, this is a little jumpy here, sorry about that. But they show him walking through the field. Then they show him doing things. He's pulling a crop up, he's smelling it, he's looking at it. There, it's just not going
To get past the stigma of GMOs being something
That's
different.
B-roll of him just walking
Because
through his soybeans.
all of our crops have been modified in certain ways. I grow GMOs because they allow us to do
There's a close-up,
something
so
that
he's
a lot of people thought was
holding that
impossible.
plant
They
in
allow
his
us to
hand.
feed a world containing 7 billion.
So he's advocating
Have
for
to
the
fit
safety.
together.
There's him in the
Either one
tractor.
product works well on its own, but if you put them together, you can really begin to accomplish some pretty incredible things.
Very important. They're showing the wife in the tractor. You want that day in the life kind of content when you're trying to connect with an audience about who you are. This would be, you know, the most important thing that you need to do. So you wouldn't think, I better take a picture of my wife in the truck or the tractor, and she better take one of me driving in the tractor. But what it's doing is it's explaining that he's a human being, that he's a regular guy, he has a family, he's not this corporate mega farmer, you know, big ag as they call it. They're showing here the sprayer. So these are the kinds of things you have to think about when you put them together. This is another one. I think for the interest of time, I won't play it, but you'll have access to it. But this was another really great portrait. Well, I'll show you a couple of it. It's just, oops. Oh, I guess that's just a photograph. I can't play it. Can't seem to play that. Yep, that was just a photograph. Sorry about that. So use B-roll. Don't zoom in on people. Use the B-roll. So if I come off and say, so let me show you something, I'm just going to film that straight, and I'm going to bend down, I'm going to pick up, I'm going to do things back, but then I might come back to the talent later and say, can you bend down again now and pull up that soybean for me? And you just recreate it, so that when you're putting the video together, you drop that in when he's talking about it. It takes, once you've done it a few times, it's pretty easy, especially if you've been doing a lot of, if you've been doing a lot of editing, you'll really become a very, very good videographer. These are some table lamps, LEDs. These are really good just for lighting your table if you're doing a cooking recipe. And again, this would be an example of content. You could be selling something. You could, maybe you're selling strawberries, and instead of just saying, here's the strawberries and they're $6.99 a pound or whatever they are, and putting an ad out for that, show somebody making a really cool recipe with a strawberry smoothie or a strawberry shortcake. So you could have those types of videos. That's going to also help with whatever line of agriculture you're in. So these are very small, tabletop. Sometimes they're not dimmable, so sometimes I'll put a white pillowcase over top of them to diffuse the light even more than what they are. I also use these, and I love them, and they come in sets of 2 and sets of 3. And the ones wasn't this brand, they're called Newer with 2 E's, Neewer. And these are really nice. They're dimmable, and they come with soft boxes on them. And sometimes they come with barn siding, but these are nice to use if you're filming indoors and you just want to illuminate more for like for a 60-minute type of interview where you're doing maybe a oral history project or some kind of a documentary. Then these are the old-fashioned kind that I had before with the bulbs, but the LEDs are now really the way to go for this. For additional information, these are what the videographer, the person behind holding that camera, needs to do. If they need to pay attention. So if the person refers to bees, the pollinator, maybe you're filming it in April and the pollinators haven't come out yet, but you say, oh my gosh, the pollinators love this plant. Then you would, hopefully maybe you took some B-roll of that plant last year and with lots of bees on it, then you could drop that in. So you want to pay attention to what the person is saying and see how you might visualize capturing 15 seconds of that. Direct the subject. You want to make sure if they're nervous, just put them at ease. A lot of times I'll just, like, if I'm behind the camera, I'm nodding and I'm reacting and raising, when they say something interesting, I'm raising my eyebrows and leaning in a little bit. That helps the person who's doing the talking, if they think that nobody's paying attention to them. One thing you want to be really careful of is what is called uptalk. So uptalk, and women do it more than men, but some men do it. And it might be, so let's just say I'm a dairy farmer. Welcome to Walfred's Dairy Farm. And today we're going to look at some cows. And we also have some goats. I'm going up with my sentences. And what the problem with that is that when I need to cut and when I need to end that space and then put the credits up and get it on its way, it feels like something should be following that. So I would rather say, hi, welcome to Walfred Dairy Farm. We are so glad that you're visiting us. We hope that you come visit us soon. I'm going down with my inflection. So it's an inflection. It's just something that you have to be aware of, because it's really hard to conclude something. Or if there's a mistake halfway through and they flub the line, I'll say, well, we'll just end it there, right? You were good at everything else. We'll just end it there. We won't even worry about that other part. So I end it, but she ended on an up, and it just sounds like something else should follow. So that's something to be really careful about. So major points, get to your point quickly, introduce the person by a lower third or some type of captioning. Make sure you start with a fully charged battery on your phone. Also turn everything else off, your Bluetooth, your wireless. You don't need it for this. So Bluetooth wireless off, put it on airplane mode. It's going to drain your battery down very, very quickly if you don't. I also bring I have a little cigar shaped extra battery that I bring with me. So in between takes, I can plug that in and keep my cell phone charged, because the one thing that will happen is the battery will go down really fast. Beware of uptalk, so forth and so on. And then the other thing is, when you're all finished, just say, so I'm really glad, I hope you enjoyed this talk today, and we'll see you next time. And then you tell the person to hold that look. 1, 2, 3. Because what people will do is go, was that right away? They'll go, so we hope you come back next week. Was that okay? And then like, oh, I have to fade that out when I edit it to put up the credits and ease it out. So if I'm dating myself, but like Walter Cronkite, he would go, and that's the way it is, right? March 8th, 2023. And then he'd look into the camera real serious. And then they might, what a lot of people do, they start shuffling their papers and looking busy, and they fade out. So, but people tend to, they release stress. They lean in and go, is that all right? Did I mess up? So just that, again, there has to be a director's role for the person holding the camera and doing the videotaping, paying attention. Don't just turn it on and go walk away. You got to pay attention to that talent. And you kind of end with a passive smile and a 1, 2, 3, cut. And then you're done. Then you've got something for the editor to work with. Smartphones, again, record in 1080 HD. I really strongly recommend this, unless you know that the video, the end result is going to go on. Like, I can't know if I can show you right here, but I'm in a room that has this like display monitor. So maybe in your storefront, you have a display monitor that has, depictions of your different products or something like that, and you want it to run in 4K, then by all means shoot in 4K. But if you're going to put something in 4K that's going to go up on YouTube or go on your website, it's going to be a huge file, and it's overkill. You don't need that. So usually 1080p is what I recommend, which is high definition. That's sort of the standard that people use. And again, it only depends. If you think it's just going to go on an internal monitor someplace, then yeah, shoot in 4K. These are the different platforms that you can place your videos on and what the limits are. It's 2 minutes and 20 seconds for Twitter. It's unlimited on Facebook. It's relatively unlimited on YouTube as well. But again, try to avoid those 20-minute videos if you can. Some legal material here. Don't use music. Just because you bought a song on iTunes doesn't mean you own it. That's for your personal use. You can't I did a video for my grandson for his birthday, and I used the Beatles' Here Comes the Sun. Sun, 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 here. And it was pictures of him. And I was so proud of myself. Uploaded it. This was years ago. Uploaded it to Facebook, or tried to, and they flagged it because it's a copyrighted song. So you have to use music that is either in the public domain. You could search for that on Creative Commons, or you can purchase what's called royalty-free music. Royalty-free means you can use it. You just give them credit somewhere at the end. You might say music by, Michele Walfred. Otherwise, Google and YouTube all have, iTunes have, iMovie all have some standard music that you can use for free, but that is something you want to be careful of, because they won't allow it on there. And that is it. I had something different, but are there any questions? It was really rip-roaring fast here. I'm going to stop sharing. And for those who came in late, I'm going to go back to sharing. Let's see here a second. If you go to let's see, well, now I can't find it. All right, so I'm not going to share. But if you go to your folder that to the PDFs that Shannon's going to send to you, inside there is this presentation and the material list. And I could go over that if you want to, but are there any questions? I know I kind of went through this fast.
I don't see any in the chat pod. You answered, there was a question about B-roll, which you answered.
Okay,
Um,
here's the thing I wanted to share. Let's see if I can get this for a second here. Oh, let's see what that's doing here. Escape. Here we go. So make sure I'm sharing now. Hold on a second here. I'm using a computer I've never used before, so that's why I'm going to share. Okay, now I know where this is. The smartphone studio app that you'll get is, let me just move this up here, goes over everything I talked about. This is what's called a monopod. If you're moving around, like if I were at the state fair and I was going to be filming a lot of things going on, I might want to put my cell phone on a monopod because it's very lightweight and I could just kind of anchor. It's kind of like a selfie stick in a way. Then there's different tripods. So this is a tripod that Amazon puts out, $31, not a bad one. This is the Manfrotto that I use, lightweight with the fluid head. That's $240. I think it's actually gone down in price. It's more like $199. But that, if you want a real nice one, that's the way to go. Then there are all kinds of clamps and grips to attach your phone to the tripod. This is a really nice one. You can get them as cheap as $5. But I've had my phone pop out of some of the cheaper ones and had to spend like $300 or $400 to get a new screen because it skipped across a concrete floor. So I'm a little more protective. This is what I use. I remove the handles, but it has hand grips. I remove the handles. I mount this on my tripod and it really anchors in my phone. The phone's not going to go anywhere and I can hop all over the place. This is the microphone that I recommend, and this is the extension cord to give you the length that you need. These are the reels that I bought to hold all those wires in place neatly. This is the Rode Video Go mic that I use when I think I need that kind of a microphone. So I have both of them right there and I can switch. This is what's called a dead cat. This is what's going to eliminate that sound that you get when you're outside in the wind. This is another really nice, for $240, this gives you the microphone, a tabletop tripod. It has the plugins and a grip here. This is the grip for your smartphone, and it comes with an Android and an iPhone adapter, so you don't need to buy any cords. And this is Shure, and Shure will sell you a microphone. And they have an app where you can actually go in and say, I know I'm going to be filming that guitar player. I'm going to narrow the scope, or I'm going to be in a group, a concert, and my kids are going to be on stage. Then I want a wide, right? Because I want to capture all of that sound. So you can set that into ahead of time, and then you go into your apps and record. This is another one. This is a wireless one called that Saramonic makes. Rode also makes one that just plugs into their phone. The only reason I have this, I've used it. These are a little bulky looking, and this will use the battery power of your phone. So this is not meant for long term because it will just suck your battery power will just go down very, very quickly. But it's a nice little unit. These are the lights I use with the barn doors. I use them actually for photography than video, to be honest. I talked about these. This is just a little tiny light that can go on top of that rig I showed you with the grip. And if you want a little fill light, this is the scrim. You can buy this $41, but you can buy it cheaper without the holder. And then this is, again, about the apps. And this is why you want it, what's encircled here. You don't get this with your phone. So this is the Movie Pro app here. And then this is the Movie Pro Movie, and that you actually have to tap on that, and then you'll see the the ups and downs. And then with the one for Android, you will have this right here. You need to tap on that in order to see the fluctuations going up and down. But you want to make sure that that microphone is working. So other than that, I don't have anything else unless there's questions.
There's just a couple questions, is using clip art and graphics and the best way to give credits. How do you include that? So,
Okay, just like a title slide at the end. I will tell you Canva, if you've ever used Canva, it's a desktop publishing software. You can get that's fabulous. And you can also find B-roll there. That's another thing. I did a lawn fertilization video for someone, and I did it in February, so nobody was fertilizing their lawns yet, but they wanted the video. So I went on Canva. Now, I'm a pro member of Canva, and I go into their video library and I just typed in lawn fertilize or lawn plus spreader, and I got tons of clips. You can use them. So it's worth joining that and being able to use those clips. You get a PowerPoint slide because it's a 12 by 19, the wide slide. You can do a background with your logo on it, some kind of a background like that. And then you would just do the credits on that. So you'd say, thanks to Shannon Dill for this, and thanks to Michele Walfred for that, music by, John Smith. Then you just clip at that or do a screenshot of that or save it as a JPEG, and that becomes your titles. That's your title. You can use that at the beginning if you want to introduce something, but your video apps like iMovie and Final Cut Pro, which is what I use, enable you to have that. You can create your own customized ones. It's really nice to maybe do that and have one. You can even have a lower third. So your lower third across the bottom could be your colors of your brand with your store name on the corner. And they're easy to create. You can create them with different apps. But I really would check into Canva. For things like clip art, I don't usually use clip art too much, but like the other day I had to do one where I needed to show a green check, like yes, right? And so I went into Canva and I found a green check mark, blew it up, and then I was able to save it as a ping so that I'd have a transparent background. Then I was able to overlay that on the video. We're getting into like more advanced editing and things like that. And if anybody has any questions about that, you can contact me. Let me put my, I am in extension, so I am more than happy to help people. You're not going to bother me if you email me and say, hey, what was that you said about this? And so let me see here. I'm getting a direct message. I don't want a direct message. I want to message everybody. Why is my chat only allowing me to direct message? Shannon, can you type in my email for me? It's walfred@udel.edu.
oh, I made a, let's see.
WAL like Walmart and Fred like Fred Flintstone. A lot of people say Ford like the truck. So Walfred. Do's and don'ts for speeding up a video after recording. Yes, that's built in iMovie, and I'll have that so you can go in. For instance, I'm going to do one where I'm going to show how to prune a hydrangea tree. Right. Well, no one's going to watch me for an hour and a half as I do that. So I'm going to speed that up probably 3 times. So I'll become, and I'll do that then, and I can see the before and after very quick within a matter of seconds as opposed to minutes. So that's usually built into, you can do that in iMovie. I know you can do it in Final Cut Pro, and I'm sure you can do that with in the Adobe line as well.
All right, I think that's it. I did get a private chat question about depending on who your bank is. So this individual is actually they have a Wells Fargo credit card, and they automatically have cell phone insurance with a deductible. So make sure you're double checking some of those. If you have an incident where you're out in the field and something happens,
yeah,
it's a lot
That's awesome. I wish I known that when I first started, I bought, like I said, I bought it cheap when I was at the Delaware State Fair, and I was inside filming some 4-Hers and the sheep, and someone bumped into me, and the phone just went bing, and it
Yep.
just skipped across the concrete floor.
That's all
And
it takes.
like $300 later to get that screen replaced. I was like, oh my God. So going cheap, it's not worth it. And so I like that grip. It surrounds the whole phone, and it isn't going anywhere, and it screws like this. And I think this phone is anchored in it, and I bebop around all over the place with it, and I don't have any troubles. So that's one of the reasons I really like that.
Perfect.
The main takeaway here, everybody, is just take footage, just shoot footage. You may not need it now. You might need it next year though, and you wish you had it. So just everyday stuff that you do, shoot video of it and try to build up a library. Then it's really easy to put something like that together.
Perfect.
Someone's talking about a great video editing program. It's VSDC editor. Oh, that's good to know. And Wondershare also makes one that's free. And I think for $75, you can have a lifetime. A lot of these things are going to subscription, so they get you. Filmic Pro was one that did. It was $15 and I bought it. It was really nice. They've now moved to a subscription model, and I'm not going to pay $9.99 a month for it. I just went, no, I already paid for it, and they just changed. So where do I store my footage? Yes, good question, because these files are huge. I have a solid state Seagate drive that I plug in, and it's like $59 for 3 terabytes. So they've really come down. I also store in the cloud. I have Google Drive with work, so I use that. I have a personal Gmail Google Drive that is up to 15 gigabytes, which is not very much. I also subscribe to Flickr, and Flickr will save up to 10 minutes of my video. I do that because I'm a photographer, so I have that, and that just happens to save that. But I usually use a solid state. I just transfer everything I shoot with this. I airdrop it to my Mac, and then I move it over into a separate hard drive, because these files are huge, and it will really fill up your and you're going to have to clear. If you've got 32 gigabytes on your phone, that's probably not enough to do this. You need to have at least 128, 526. I have a terabyte. So, but even with a terabyte, I'm moving them off. As soon as I shoot them, I'll move them to my computer. I'll make sure that they're there. I'll make sure that they're in, if they need to be on the cloud, and then I take them off my phone.
Perfect. Well, Michele, I really appreciate your time here. I know we've got a couple other questions, but please feel free to reach out to Michele. She's quite a great resource for us. We will be sending out the recording along with her slide set, so just keep an eye out for that.
And then you'll see other examples in that folder that you get. There's other presentations I've done for other people. So you'll get a whole bunch of stuff in that folder, that
Perfect.
Google Drive folder. Well, thank you very much. It's
All
great
right.
to be back I think I had a year hiatus. I don't think I did anything for you guys in 2022. So it's good to be back.
It is, definitely.
Well, thank you, everybody.
All right. Have a great day.